Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. The aftermath of our last episode last week, it already was evident yesterday. Well, remember we talked about how we came home and there were people launching fireworks at the end of the road, and it was the day before 4th of July. Yesterday was the 4th of July. And I would say for the most part, the day was pretty mellow. Yogi was drugged up like he was supposed to be because he overreacts, etc.
There was the odd little pop during the day, but it was like a pop, 2 hours.
And that was it.
Pop, hour, pop.
Soon as the sun went down, it sounded like someone was firing a rifle right in my backyard.
I don't know if you've been outside at all today, but there are like firework pieces in our backyard again this year, like there were last year. I'm going to throw them back over the fence, back to the people they belong to.
I love when you do that.
They started it when they had their tree trimmers come and they trimmed that big ass leaf off of one of those trees in the back. And then they threw it up over the fence back into our yard. Like, you cut it off. You deal with it.
Yeah, I would just shove it back over.
Now I'm going to give them their fireworks back.
But it was like a gun going off.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 nonstop. And these are fireworks that jettison up in the air. And the thing that people don't think about is it might be perfectly calm down here. It could be super windy up high. And you shoot that thing up and it just blows it just 10 feet over. When it comes down, it's going to land on someone's house and start it on fire.
Or in someone's bushes and light the entire landscape on fire. There were 73 reported outdoor fires in North Las Vegas yesterday.
Think about when we go to the ballpark and they have fireworks. They take that one entire side of the parking lot and close it off.
Yeah.
And that whole entire parking lot is just cement.
And I believe pyrotechnicians have to find everything that's gone up and then come back down.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
they cut off so much space. And yet, they're like 10 feet from the house. And like you mentioned, a park that has dry bushes and grass in it and dried up trees that are going to just light on fire, burn like tinder.
Yep.
And no, I don't mean swiping right or left.
Yogi was downright ready to murder people last night.
In past years, we've tried all sorts of things. We've tried Benadryl. We've tried this, that, and the other thing. This time we have, because he's been having anxiety always. He's always had separation anxiety. The doctor has given us a pill that he gets a little dose every day. And then when he has events that are going to cause him major stress, we have something heavier for him. And that's what we gave him. What we normally do is we just give him one pill and it lasts 12 hours and then that's that. But what we decided this year, this one over here had the brilliant idea of drug him up and keep him drugged up until we'll probably let him off the pills maybe tomorrow.
He was probably drugged from dinner time on the 3rd, and he's still drugged now.
And he'll get drugged again tonight at dinner time. He needs it, though, because the difference between even last year where he was on anxiety medication and had the 4th of July and this year where he was really on the anxiety medication, for the most part, last year, as soon as a single pop was heard, he was like hiding under the chairs and shivering.
He ignored them until there was multiple of them in a row.
Yep. He had a completely different attitude. And so my feeling about it is that at least he feels better. Some people are approaching it this year from a different angle. They're saying that they go to the parks and there's so much junk from the safe and sane fireworks just laying all over the place in parks because the people who go there to, quote, celebrate, end quote, don't bother to clean up after themselves. And so they're hoping that's what makes it illegal. The one thing I had never thought about, and I saw someone post about this, is I know dogs and cats, and sometimes other animals, get freaked out by fireworks. It's a loud noise that they don't know what it is, and they can't equate that to anything. But veterans who have been in firefights and been involved in gun battles, they get severely bad PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just, it's sad, but you don't think of it, that those people too are sitting at home feeling like Yogi does. Imagine a human personification of how Yogi was feeling. That would be awful.
Totally.
I mean, that dog was what I always call him, a shiver me timbers, because he's always just, oh, and then he huffs and puffs. It's the craziest thing.
That was a good impression of the Yogi.
Yeah.
Anyway, the most of the fireworks that were lit off last night that were bothering us had nothing to do with anything safe and sane. They were all up
Correct.
in the air, already illegal in the state of Nevada fireworks.
Yeah, correct. I get it. But maybe they're going to need to make it so that you want to do fireworks in the park, you're going to have to reserve an area, and you're going to have to give us your info.
Fireworks in the park in California.
And then if there's a mess,
yeah,
they'll have to be paying to clean it up.
Yep.
Pretty simple stuff. I think it's a hard situation because on the one hand, you really want people to be able to celebrate and have their rights to do that. But then you also anticipate that those folks are going to clean up after themselves and that they're going to follow the rules.
Ruckus for everyone else because you wanted to celebrate your way.
And unfortunately, the majority of those people don't follow the rules.
Right.
Like we said with the people across the street, they were setting off those things like it was nothing. Then as soon as I yelled that the cops were called, they took off, which means they know what they did was wrong because, hey, if they thought it was okay to do, why would they leave because of the cops?
Don't you guys also have to be an adult to set off fireworks? And those were.
I have no idea what the law is here.
Interesting.
I do not know what the law is.
I know in Canada and California, you had to be 18 or over to buy them and use them.
I would imagine it's the same here.
And I just sit here hoping that the idiots blow off their hand and they'll never be able to light fireworks again.
Worse than that, you always ask me if I think it's mean that you think that. And I don't really, because I think that people assume the risk when they do this stuff.
Every year on New Year's Eve, because where my parents live is out in the middle of nowhere, right? We would go to my grandparents' house, and my granddad and Dale and my dad would light off a whole bevy of fireworks. But they knew how to do it, and they did it properly, and nobody ever got hurt. And the fireworks were completely legal.
Well, yeah, but all of those things adds up to why wouldn't you let someone do it? It's these crazy people who, like, they're not even thinking about the consequences of what could happen.
They're not thinking about burning people's houses down or blowing their hands or faces off.
And they could completely destroy a bunch of lives, including their own, in seconds by setting off a firework, having it like go crazy and launch right into a house, killing somebody and then blowing up their house. And then now you're going to go to jail for doing all of that. And you're going to go to jail for a very long time because that's a pretty severe crime. And you literally did it by being too stupid to not use illegal fireworks.
And then they went into that park across the way from us. And while you may think a big open cement area is a great place to light off firework, tell that to the giant trees surrounding the cement area.
I think those were firecrackers.
When we went the next morning, there was like a 6-inch tall pillar sitting in the middle of the concrete area. It looked like
sparkler-like thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting.
They had the firecrackers too.
But all I can remember thinking was when we used to live in California, we lived adjacent to the war zone. And now we live inside of the war zone.
I don't know. When we were in Buena Park, it was inside the war zone.
The fireworks there went off on the other side of Holder and on the other side of...
just as loud as it was here last night.
Here, though, our neighbor that our entire back fence is connected with was setting those off. That's my point about being in the war zone.
And then people would light them off in that church across the street from us when we were in Buena Park. That was pretty close. There's just one major street in between.
Yeah, but I'm talking about how then that house was doing it, and someone was doing it over here. It's like everybody in this neighborhood was launching off illegal fireworks. But it reminds me of the discussion we've had many times about how the cops here always look the other way. And this is just a standard thing across the country. So I'm sure a big part of it is just overwhelm. Why else would it be the same everywhere? But you would think that if they really want to make a big deal about, hey, these are the only legal fireworks, you have to get rid of these illegal ones, that they would do something about it. Focus on don't go to the calls of, oh, my neighbor's setting off fireworks in his driveway and he won't stop and I'm trying to go to sleep. Who cares? It's 4th of July. I don't care. But if you're telling me he's launching illegal fireworks, that should be prioritized and an officer should go and check it out. Period. The end. And you know what? Why didn't they plan to have some officers work overtime?
They probably did. But
so that was covered.
How many police officers do you have to be able to have somebody in every single neighborhood busting people for fireworks? Like,
why not just get a special task force that handles it?
Yeah.
There are so many ways that you could approach it.
4th of July.
They had an Airbnb task force to hunt for Airbnb parties.
Oh, I know.
So if they can do that, they could take that same task force and put them onto fireworks, man. It's ridiculous. The Airbnb thing makes me mad, especially when we start talking about the fireworks thing. Airbnb thing, yet again, gonna say nothing is ever gonna get hurt by a person having an Airbnb. It's just not possible. Fireworks, people could die. Homes could burn to the ground. You could lose every belonging you have because some bozo set off a firework illegally.
Bozos. All of them. All the bozos. We sound like old man yells at cloud.
It's interesting because I saw one of the bigger Vegas influencers saying that she doesn't like fireworks in general. And it was a post about LED fireworks and how like they put up this giant net and then there's LED fireworks that go off. And she was like, I think they should do this because I personally hate fireworks. And who knows, maybe she's had an experience where something of hers got damaged, burned, whatever, because of fireworks.
So when we were in California, you said all these illegal fireworks come from Mexico.
Majority, yeah.
Why don't they just stop them at the border?
They try. Why don't they? That's a great question. Why don't they stop the millions of people who sneak across the border every year?
So you're telling me that the fireworks are Joe Biden's fault. Got it. Noted.
Didn't say that. I'm just saying that it's the same process. Smugglers. They smuggle the crap in. And everything is
it's a whole lot harder to smuggle fireworks in between your cheeks than like some drugs.
It's probably easier to smuggle fireworks in than almost anything because you can just put it in the midst of a shipment of something else.
Yeah, you could, but all they need is gunpowder sniffing dogs.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And all they need is drug dogs too. My point is stuff that's illegal gets across the border. It just is what it is. And they can't, it's obviously not as easy as just saying, why don't they stop it there? I don't have an answer for why they don't stop. They don't stop it there because they got outsmarted. That's the only
I'm going to guess that the fireworks aren't even something they try to stop.
It's probably not a big deal to them.
Like if they found them, then great, we're going to confiscate these, but they don't look for them.
I hate to say this, but I'd even be willing to bet that some, not all, not even a majority, but some of those officers accept cash payments to look the other way.
I'm sure people in a position of power are always...
You're dealing with an extremely corrupt country, Mexico. So
poor Mexico.
Like,
how dare you hate on Mexico? Bree is from there.
Yeah, for the 30 seconds of her life that she lived there.
Bree is an avocado from Mexico.
Girl. Anyway, I think the bottom line here is that if people just respected each other and thought about other people, there'd be less problems like we had.
Best of luck with that.
I'm the type that if I had teenagers and they were setting off fireworks, first of all, they wouldn't be illegal. And second of all, I'd gauge the situation and be like, you know what? It's almost 10 o'clock. You probably should stop. And I'm even going to be in the camp that says if it was a Friday night, that's an entirely different thing. Because even though a lot of people had today off, a lot of people didn't. And like I'm willing to bet that for casino workers, it was scheduled as usual.
Both days.
Yep.
And maybe even overtime because of how many tourists are in town right now.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
If people would respect each other, the problem would go away. But you're right, they never will.
They never will. People are shit in every situation.
Yeah. The one common denominator through all of these things is people are shit. With that, I have nothing else to say.
Good night, everyone.
Hasta bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.